So, yes, Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf Fortress. Where to begin if you've never really heard of Dwarf Fortress before? It is a game where you have a bunch of dwarves and you build a fortress. Ostensibly, that's what the game is about. But in reality, the game is a very complex simulation of a fantasy world that you generate at the start, along with hundreds and sometimes even thousands of years of history, and characters and events and monsters and people. And then you take your place in that world, you set out on your expedition with your dwarves, and with them, you build a fortress. And then usually that fortress is destroyed in some catastrophic and usually funny way. And then you abandon it and you start a new one somewhere else. It additionally has an adventure mode, which allows you to play a sort of roguelike type game where you control a single character in that same world. It's not as good though. Generally speaking, adventure mode, I mean, it's okay, but it's not that brilliant. It's all about the fortress mode, really. How goes life? Life, it goes. It goes.
We're watching.
Basically, it goes.
Scum.
Maybe this time you won't be entirely confused with the entire stream and actually vaguely wants. Well, I can't promise that. I will do my best to explain. What's it called? Dwarf Fortress. Oh dear, that's not a good sign, is it? I will do my best to explain the game as I go through it, but I mean, yeah, it's a tough game to get in. I mean, yeah, it is similar vague concept to RimWorld, but there's a lot way more to it than RimWorld, honestly. RimWorld is like I don't know how to put it without saying dumbed down, because that sounds really mean, and RimWorld is a perfectly fine game, but it's not as complex as Dwarf Fortress. But if you think RimWorld, you will have a vague basic concept of what we're talking about. Yes, it is in that sort of vein. So, for a long time I was waiting for the Steam version of this to come out, which will have like overhauled graphics and overhauled menus and stuff like that. But then it became clear that it wasn't really going to be here anytime soon, and I wanted to play some Dwarf Fortress, so I thought, well, bugger it, fine. I'll just download whatever the latest version of the starter pack is and get to work. So, here we are. The proper term is RimWorld has much more polish. Yeah, but that's like saying Skyrim has more polish than Morrowind. Technically it's true, but it's not the whole story. I received a level 1 hype train emote, apparently. Still haven't taken the time out of my day to understand what the fuck the hype train is, or indeed figure out how to turn it off. But here it is, nevertheless. I am a dinosaur. I don't like learning new stuff. Oh, the change to the homepage, the channel homepage, finally got rolled out to me. Because for whatever reason I didn't have it for ages, even though some people did, and I'm not a fan. I got to be honest. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt for now, so we can get past that change is scary phase. I'd give it a fair judgment, but so far it doesn't seem like much of an improvement. The little story I posted on Twitter, yes, that's classic Dwarf Fortress. Was that little Twitter thread? I had so much fun playing that evening that I just had to share it. beast was supposed to have 8 legs. This only had 6 and wings as well. Yes, true. It's true, essentially, because the story of the fortress I was doing was I took a bunch of dwarves to an ancient abandoned fortress that had been overrun by an ancient evil beast.
We're watching you.
In the very earliest days of recorded history in the world I was playing, a beast had wandered in and massacred all the dwarves that lived there, and taken up residence there, and generations of adventurers had gone off to this fortress to try and slay the beast, and every single one of them had died. And so I set off with my expedition of dwarves to reclaim the fortress from the foul beast. And I built an extensive sort of sub-fortress of my own in the upper levels, while the main original fortress was in the lower levels, down deep below, and there was a single shaft that connected the two, and you went down the shaft and into a corridor where I built a drawbridge which would seal off the lower levels from the upper levels, so even this mighty forgotten beast of doom couldn't actually get to harm me. But eventually the time came where we had to defeat the great beast, and in that time I discovered that another forgotten beast had wandered in at some point, and that was the forgotten beast that we ended up fighting, that my dwarves ended up fighting and killing. And it turned out not to be the actual one we were looking for, because I checked the name, and I went into the Legends viewer and was like, this is definitely it, right? And it turned out, no, it isn't. So I had to come back later with more dwarves, with better equipment and better training, to plumb the depths of the ancient fortress and actually finally kill the beast that we actually went to do. And we successfully did it too, actually. It took a few casualties, but managed to do it. And then a third forgotten beast wandered in, like a couple of years later, and then we slew that as well. So this fortress I nicknamed the Beast Grave, because that's where all the ancient forgotten beasts of the underworld came to be destroyed by my mighty dwarven fist. It was good fun. Ended up with a fortress that was a bit basic. Didn't have a lot going for it, other than a very highly trained elite corps of dwarf spearmen. That was it was quite fun. So I still have the save for that. I haven't retired or abandoned the fort yet, so I might go back to it at some point. In fact, it might be not a terrible idea to load it in, just to have a poke around and show you guys what a fully operational fort in Dwarf Fortress actually looks like, before we create a new world and begin from scratch. Do you know what the fun part is? We killed all these ancient forgotten beasts, and do you know what we did with them? We ate them. The dwarves swiftly transported the giant corpse upstairs to the butcher's shop, where it was chopped up into forgotten beast burgers, and the dwarves had a mighty feast. Yeah. To be fair, Einod, the bard, tried to eat it while it was still alive, because he bit onto it and then and then refused to let go, and it was madness. He ended up being my captain of the militia in the end. Actually, he managed to become a proficient spear dwarf, which is quite a high rank, and I made him my captain of the guard, because the previous captain of the guard was killed by a vampire. So, who turned out to be the mayor, no less. The mayor of the goddamn town turned out to be the vampire. So that was great. He came in with a wave of migrants to the fortress, and immediately ran for election and won with his vampiric charisma. You know, he basically stole the election, and and then he was mayor for quite a while, and then, you know, some weeks after he arrived, dead dwarves started to turn up with all the blood sucked out of their bodies, and I was like, what? And then when they when the militia captain died, but killed by a vampire, I was like, right, okay, this has got to stop. And eventually I determined that the mayor was the vampire, and yeah. How long did it take to set up a fully operational fortress? A while. the thing is, the bigger your fortress gets, the more things you require for it. So it's a constantly evolving beast. So, I think we should begin. Okay. If you're watching this on YouTube, by the way, partially because perhaps some of you are having difficulties with Twitch right now, I know I bloody am.
Wealth beyond measure, Outlander.
Long-time YouTube watcher, keep it up. Do any plans on any of the Neverwinter Nights campaigns? Yes, vague plans. Yes, thank you very, very much for that donation. I managed to read the text there just fast enough. Do you know what? I adjusted the length of that notification, and it still isn't long enough. And the graphic for it is still broken. I still haven't been able to figure out how to fix that. But anyway, yeah, thank you very much for that kind donation. Where was I? Oh yes, Twitch has been giving me issues lately. I keep having to refresh the page a couple of times before I get the chat to work. I keep getting all these plug-in failed to load messages and stuff. Just Twitch's website at the moment is being a really awkward prick, frankly. And I'm quite irritated with it. So if you are watching this on YouTube later because you couldn't be asked to deal with that nonsense, I completely sympathise. Enjoy the show. Yeah, I don't know why the donation alert is broken and all the others aren't. All the others have been updated successfully with the new graphic and everything, but the donation one is still busted, and I don't really know why. Because there's no indication as to why that would be in Streamlabs. Because you go in Streamlabs and you look at the settings for it, and it should all be fine. And yet it still does that. Don't get it. So anyway, what I will do, I think, is I will load up my existing fortress and give you a little tour. So you can see what we're dealing with. And then we'll exit out. We will create a brand new world. And we will explore that world with a Legends viewer, and then eventually we will embark with some dwarves on an expedition to create a new fortress once I find a sort of a narrative that I like. And we will begin. And yes, I will name the dwarves after people in Twitch chat, starting with subscribers, so get ready to be murdered as a dwarf. Right. Okay, so this is the lazy new pack, aka the starter pack. When you get into Dwarf Fortress, download this. Don't download the actual game itself from the main website. Download the starter pack instead, because it's way easier. This is one of those weird games where normally with most games you want to play without mods on your first playthrough. With Dwarf Fortress, you do want mods on your first playthrough because it will make your life so much easier. Not the beard! Aye. So. Right. Play Dwarf Fortress. Here's my settings for anyone who's already familiar with Dwarf Fortress. In case you're curious, those are my settings. I'm not going to explain them now. This isn't strictly speaking a tutorial. Okay. And come on. One of the reasons I want to play Dwarf Fortress today is because my mouse is slowly dying a very undignified death. And, let's zoom this in a bit so it's nice and big. There we go. My mouse is slowly dying a very undignified death, and, Dwarf Fortress, luckily, you don't need a mouse to play. You just need a keyboard, so... So, I'm going to hit continue playing so I can show you this. Ghost Knockham! In the year 256. Play now. Dwarf Fortress, yeah, it does normally have background music, which I have turned off because there's only so many times I can listen to that looping guitar music before I go completely insane. So, oh, I need to go into sound sense. Quickly talk lots so the The algorithm doesn't pick this up. I need to turn off the music. There we go. Whew. SoundSense is a program that runs alongside Dwarf Fortress if you're using the starter pack, which provides sound effects to the game. Because by default, the game doesn't have any sound effects. It just has this looping background music, which, just, as I said, drives me insane. But it also provides music, and it's nice music. Most of it's taken from like other video games and stuff like that, but and I think largely royalty-free stuff. But since I cannot verify that everything in there is above board as far as copyright is concerned, I'm going to turn it off, and instead we will listen to the Oblivion music folder that I have, because I know that that's safe. So yeah, but we'll still have the sound effects though. You can probably hear some rain in the background. Yeah, so. Right, this is the fortress. Now, with Dwarf Fortress, what you have to understand is that effectively what you're looking at is a 2D Minecraft. Everything is block-based. That is basically what you're looking at. You're looking at a 2D Minecraft. And this is important because unlike RimWorld, which you may be familiar with, this game has Z levels. As in, you can go down and up. You can dig into the ground and build up above it. Whereas in RimWorld, at least the last version of RimWorld I played, everything was on a flat plane. You couldn't dig into the ground or build up. Dwarf Fortress has the revolutionary mechanic of stairs. So, right now you can see at the right-hand side here, this is an indication of what level we're at. 0 right now is the surface. Plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is going up. And minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc. is going down. And what you're seeing here is the sort of staircase thing that goes down through the various levels of my fortress. Because we start off here in this big square bastion of stone with a moat around it. And inside here we have all the various resource stockpiles and some of the workshops and a library, which was actually there when I arrived in the first place. This fortress used to have a library which was filled with ancient rare books. Before the beast came and drove everyone out and killed everyone who didn't run away. So I like to think that this library was the prime reason the dwarves came back here to reclaim this place, because they wanted to reclaim all the ancient tomes of knowledge. So that was actually there at the start. And then you go down, and then there's a farming layer in the clay and mud and loam and stuff down here, where we grow mushrooms and things. And then you go down further, and we've got a layer where we've got some more resource stockpiles and some workshops and a forge. And you go down a bit further, and we've got effectively a quarry where we've just mined out shit tons of stone in order to get access to resources like gemstones, like these, for example, and metal ores like this cassiterite. Cassiterite. You need that to make tin, I think. That's a tin ore. And then you get down to the main fortress level, which is like this residential level here, where we have the barracks for the military dwarves. We have a tavern, along with a couple of rooms that visitors can rent. Kitchen, a little food stockpile next to the kitchen to make life easier. And then all these rooms are where the dwarves live. Lots and lots of them. Still constantly building more because more migrants keep coming to the fortress. And therefore they need more rooms and more beds to sleep in. This is a temple that the dwarves come and worship in. This is a hospital where the dwarves come when they are sick. And these are both guild halls because a significant number of the dwarves in my fortress belong to one of two guilds, a guild of rangers and a guild of farmers. And so eventually they petitioned me to build them some guild halls so that they could meet and discuss guild things. I think this one is the Hall of Growers. So this is the farming one. And as you can see, if we click on these guys, these two gentlemen are socializing. Dio and Moore. Yeah, they are socializing in the Farmers Guild. And over here, this is the Rangers Guild, where we have this guy, who is socializing with somebody, I guess. Not this guy, because he's detailing the floor right now. Guess he's just socializing with himself. Fair enough, I guess. Do you micro the dwarves individually? Or no, they have minds of their own entirely. We give them exactly like that. We give them generalized commands to build and dig stuff and do things. It's just like RimWorld in that regard. We go to further down, and we have a tomb. This is where the tombs are. We've had 6 deaths so far in the fortress. This is the resting place of Gesh the Blade. Of the guy. I give very vague and generic nicknames to my dwarves when I'm not using Twitch usernames instead. Just so I can try and keep track of who's who and what skills and stuff they have at a glance. So this guy, Slayer, was a guy who came to the fortress for the express purpose of slaying monsters, and that he did. He went down into the caves and he slew many monsters until eventually he had an encounter with a cave crocodile that was a bit bigger than him, and he died. And so we buried him here. This one is where a dude called Stone Chisel lives. Stone Chisel was the husband of one of my spear dwarves who is a necromancer. Believe it or not. I forgot. I think she's called Strider. That was the nickname I gave her because she was a ranger. Around here somewhere. I don't know where she's got to, but she's a necromancer. And her husband was Mr. Stone Chisels here, who died. I think he was killed by one of the Forgotten Beasts. The 3rd Forgotten Beast that wandered into the fortress. It caught poor Stone Chisel while he was out gathering mushrooms in the caves, and it knocked him out of the way with its leg, and his head hit a rock and it instantly exploded. Blood, gore everywhere, brains all over the shop. It was very tragic. So what's left of him was scooped up and buried in that coffin. That's where this Ingishurith was buried there. I don't remember who that one was. This Tully I think this was one of the vampire victims. And so was this one. The Hammer. That was the former guard captain, who was a proficient hammer dwarf, who was also killed by the vampire. So, we go down further levels, and then we get to other layers, and basically just more stuff that I've mined out for resources. These are the caves. These are the caves. There's a little sort of fortress bastion bit in here to lock out the caves and everything that wanders in via them from the rest of the fortress. There's a little drawbridge bit here and a door. And these are where all the mushroom trees grow, which we can chop down for wood. And there's an underground lake and lots of mushrooms, and monsters and things generally tend to wander in from down here because, as you can see, the caves extend off the edge of our playable map. And they do keep going. If we were playing in adventurer mode right now, where we were controlling a single character in an RPG-style fashion, we would be able to go in here and then walk off down that way and keep going and see what the rest of the caves look like. But because we're in fortress mode, we only get to see what's in this playable area. But it will keep going, you know. There is stuff out there, and it occasionally wanders in here. We keep going down, and this is where we get to the original old-school ancient fortress with its batshit layout that was originally abandoned by the dwarves because they were all killed by the evil beast of doom. Haven't fully explored it yet, as you can see. There's some blank areas up here. But it's mostly empty rooms with a few old items left behind, like some shoes and a cap and some mittens. A few little pieces of evidence of the people who once lived here in the ancient times before they were all horribly, horribly murdered. There's a couple of levels to it. It goes down a bit further onto another level where there's a bunch of old ancient forges that have been dark for many a century now. And then it goes down further Get to more bits that I've mined out for the marble, because it's a marble rock layer right there. You keep going down further, and you get to a second layer of caves, which I've not explored, like, at all, really. I don't know what's down there, honestly. But I blocked it off with a drawbridge. Which effectively, in this case, is just a big stone door rather than a bridge, but hey. And then you go down even further, and you can see more bits of the caves as we go through the levels here. You go down and down and down and down and down and down and down until eventually you get to here, which is a bottom layer which previously had... I don't know what this was meant to be. Part of it was a stockpile of stuff which I've since moved up to the top of the fortress. And also it was like some sort of almost museum or great hall or something, because it was full of these pedestals for putting artifacts on. And that was really all else that was down here. You keep going down further. Much further down. You see this has a lot of layers. We're on level minus 131 right now. And it keeps going. Goes very far down. More caves. And then we get down to here, and there's a bunch of magma forges, which are built above a big pool of magma. And they use that to do the forging instead of, you know, traditional coal and stuff. And charcoal and what have you. And then you get down to magma, and then beyond that we usually do nobody knows. Because there's no way to get down there. So I do not know what lies beyond that. I've never played Dwarf Fortress and managed to go deep enough to figure out what's beyond all this kind of stuff. So looks like level minus 167 is about as far as it goes down, because it won't go down any further now. So but we go all the way back up to the top, or alternatively I can just use a hotkey, and then we find ourselves back up here and back outside. Now I will show you a slightly different visual representation to really help you get your heads around this a little bit. And I will use a utility in the starter pack called Armok Vision to do it. And what this will do is it will render the fortress in 3D. So you can really get an idea of what I'm talking about here and help you translate the 2D to the 3D in your head. No, don't update now. I don't have time for that. Yeah, Armok Vision's ancient. It's really old at this point. There's another utility that you can use as well, which renders the world in an isometric fashion. Still 2D, but isometric 2D. But I've never been able to get it to work without it crashing Dwarf Fortress, so I've given up on that. Armok Vision works, though. So this is what the actual play area we have looks like. And you can see the vague terrain beyond it rendered here as well, which is fun. Like, if you were to look at the world map, this would match up. This is what the rest of the world looks like beyond the confines of our fortress. As you can see, we're in the middle of a big old forest. Or actually, we're in the middle of a clearing at the edge of a forest here. Right now, it's full of trees. These trees weren't actually here when I started the fortress. They grew over the process of me being here, because originally this was just a big grassy flat plain. There was nothing out here. But this is what the fortress looks like from the outside. Effectively just a big bunker, almost. I didn't build this. This was here when I got here, you see, because we were reclaiming a fortress instead of building a brand new one. But yeah, you go in through here. There's a drawbridge at this end. And you got the moat. That's the trading post here for when merchants come visiting. And you go up the other side, and you got another. You can see the dwarves as well, rendered as 2D sprites, and another drawbridge here, which I think has been raised at the moment. Oh no, it hasn't. No, these are just doors. Ignore me. Yeah. So you go through the doors, and then you find yourself inside. And it's mostly stockpiles of stuff in here and some workshops. As I said, this is the little library, which you can go in and see all the people here. These are humans. They have come to visit. They're human scholars that have come to visit and study the ancient texts we have here. You can go upstairs, where we've got more bookshelves and things, and some beds, because I also had this temporarily serve as a dormitory when I was first settling into the fortress, and I just haven't moved them since. And then you've got the main bit here, where we can go downstairs via this hatch, via a ladder. Hello. And if I just... Oh, sorry, this is very disorientating, I know. Here's the farm layer. All the mushrooms. And then you go down further. And we eventually get to... Well, let me just zoom out here. Whoa, 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 whoa. Zooming out to a more reasonable view here, so we're not like in first person. This is the workshops and stockpiles bit below ground, and then you go down further. And this is the residential layer I mentioned. So here's the tavern. With all the people in it. Some of them dwarves, some of them humans visiting. There might even be some elves in here. Yeah, that looks like an elf to me. I think that might be an elf. And a duck. I think that's somebody's pet duck. I know there's a goose living in the fortress. One of the migrants brought a goose with them. The sadists. There's the barracks. All my warrior dwarfs in there. And then these are all the residences. Ugh. Zoom it out a bit. Sorry, the mouse control is a bit weird, and I think it might be because my mouse is shite and it's dying. There's the temple. We've got some statues in here, along with some floor engravings and an altar. And there's the hospital, and that's one of the guild halls. There's still these big lumps of rock lying around because they've not been moved off to a stockpile yet. So it's still freshly mined out. Shady, hello. I am having a decent Earth day. Yes, thank you, sir. These rooms here, these slightly bigger rooms, these are where some of the nobles live. So the nobles have requirements for nicer and bigger rooms, so that's what they get. And you'll see they have statues and things in their rooms to make it a bit nicer, to keep them happier. So there you go. And then you can go down further. It really helps with the caves, this. Armok vision, actually. So if we can go down far enough to get to the caves, which it's now trying to render in. Oh, this is the fortress layer. Yeah, this is the ancient fortress layer. It takes a minute to load this stuff in sometimes. Yeah, give it a minute. It's rendering trees down here because Armok Vision can't render mushroom trees, so it just renders normal trees. But this is the caves, so you can see they're quite tall. So there you go. Anyway. So that's what it looks like in 3D, to help you visualize it a bit. If you ever get... Because I do sometimes run up Armok Vision when I'm building or digging out something in the game, and I'm really struggling to get my head around the 2D display. Like I get proper confused. That's when I run up Armok Vision to get a look at it in 3D and see what I'm actually dealing with. You don't have to worry about air and ventilation or indeed... Well, you do actually a little bit, but not very much. And you don't have to worry about lighting either, because dwarves can see in the dark, which is helpful. Yeah. Yeah, these are the noble bits. I think this is where the mayor lives normally, which is why you've got engravings on the walls and the floors and stuff to make it extra fancy. Because if you go to the nobles tab, they do have requirements. For example, the captain of the guard right now doesn't have an office, and they need an office. They also need a weapon rack and an armor stand. So... Dwarves are perfectly adapted to living underground. Indeed. Indeed, indeed. So they have few problems. Although, miasma is a thing. So, like, corpses and other stinky things do produce fumes, which you do need to air out. So there is an element of air ventilation, but, like, not like oxygen to live. It's more like dealing with bad smells occasionally when you've got, like, a butcher's shop down here or something like that. Which has a lot of corpses involved, you know. So, there you go. That's my current fortress of Gostnokim. There's so many little things I could go through here, though, to sort of, you know, look at things and show you things. We could have a look at some of these individual dwarves. There she is, Strider. She's totally not a necromancer, this one. She's a necromancer, I checked. We can look at her thoughts and preferences, and there's a whole bunch of stuff here. My goodness. Because the game simulates the dwarf psychology as well. So, you have a little quote up there which sums up what they're feeling at the moment, which is, "I taught shield. That was very satisfying." So she's probably giving a shield demonstration or something in the barracks right now. Or did recently, anyway. She is enraptured remembering communicating with Okosh. She must really like Okosh, whoever Okosh is. I think that might be her son, actually. I think she has kids, this one, and Okosh might be one of them. She feels satisfied after teaching shield. She's worried considering the scarcity of cages and chains. Within the last season, she was blissful remembering sleeping in a very good bedroom. She felt satisfied after teaching armor. She felt restless after being unable to practice a craft for too long. She was worried after being unable to pray to Okosh. Oh, Okosh is the god she worships. Okay. Yes, I think Okosh might be the god of death in this particular world. So she was communing with Okosh, which is a bit of a clue that she's a necromancer. Unable to pray to Okosh for too long. She felt lonely after being away from friends for too long. Worried after being unable to acquire something for too long. And this just goes on and on and on and on. Exhilarated after a sparring session. She was afraid, experiencing trauma. So she basically had a flashback at some point. And she also felt euphoric due to inebriation. I can identify with that, I must say. She was embarrassed after sleeping in a poor bedroom. Oh dear. Lustful, remembering talking with the spouse. That was presumably before he was killed by the great beast of doom. Then again, she's a necromancer, so who freaking knows, right? She has 6 children. Rovod Pillar Carries, Olin Diamond Shoved, Ushrir Belted Abbeys, Solon Steambridge. Amazing names, by the way, that the dwarves have in this. They sound less ridiculous when you convert them into Dwarvish from English, because there's a whole language in this game. But it's giving us the English names of them as opposed to the Dwarvish names. Dumed Rox Relic and Alath Rockskinned. She is the daughter of Adil Floor Balance and Kel Massive Stakes. She is an ardent worshipper of Okosh, a dubious worshipper of Mesthos Tower Keeper, a casual worshipper of Zephon, and a dubious worshipper of Ibmat the Silvery Brand. She is a citizen of the Smith of Alchemies, which is the name of the country that we're part of, effectively. The nation that we belong to is the Smith of Alchemies. She's a member of the Standard of Blazing, and the Standard of Blazing is the name of the local government, so to speak, of dwarves that exists in this fortress. My original band of dwarves called themselves the Standard of Blazing. She is a former member of the Tombs of Alchemy, which is probably some other group out there. It could be a guild, could be a town, government, it could be all sorts of things. Could be a religious faction. Former member of all sorts of things. She was... Oh, look at this. She is the captain of the guard of the Standard of Blazing, currently. She is the former chief chef of the Coalition of Chambers. And she's a militia dwarf of the Standard of Blazing. She arrived at Gosnokim on the 16th of Sandstone in the year 253. She's 128 years old, born on the 28th of Opal in the year 128. So she's 128, born on the 28th in the year 128. That is some spooky, magical coincidence shit, that is right there. I think she might be the chosen one. Her eyebrows are high, her head is extremely narrow, her ears are free-lobed, her medium-length hair is braided, her nose bridge is slightly convex, her hair is grey with a touch of dark brown, her skin is ecru, I don't know what that word even means. Her eyes are silver, her nose is somewhat long. Quite durable, rarely sick, agile and slow to tire. And then she has things she likes and dislikes. She likes anhydrite, zinc, levin, opal, papaya wood, colour chestnut, gems, spears, gloves, doors. She likes doors. She's really fond of doors, apparently, for some reason. She likes short-fin mako sharks for their speed and the sight of the silken incense. Whatever that is. When possible, she prefers to consume spotted ratfish, herring, and peach cider. She absolutely detests large roaches. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. And every single one of the dwarves in this fortress has a bio like that. Which number month is Opal? Good question, eh? But yeah, every single one of them has their own bio and family and friends and memories and physical features. It's all kept track of. There are some you come across some fascinating life stories in this game of some of your dwarves, because they get up to all sorts of stuff before they eventually find their way to your fortress at the end of the day. Them living at your fortress is only part of their long lives. So yeah. Opal is the 11th. Ah, there you go. Right. So, I will save the game. You can, yeah, I know. I'm the same, dude. I spend so much time just in the Legends viewer looking at stuff. It's one of the best parts of this game. We did not start in a well, I suppose I started in an abandoned fortress with this one, but I loaded up a previous save of a fortress I've been working on for the last couple of weeks to show people what a dwarf fortress looks like when it's in full swing before we create a new world and start from scratch. That's what I was doing there, basically. So, speaking of which, create new world. This will take a little while, I'll warn you now. Now might be a good time to go get a cup of tea or visit the loo or something like that.
We're watching you, Scout.
Because it takes a bit of computing power to generate an entire fantasy world, along with like a few hundred years of its history. K-Smot, evening all, hope all is well. Thank you very much for the resubbage. And yes, all is going rather well. I've almost finished my beer, that's how well it's going. Yeah, big migrant waves we've got to rename everyone can sometimes be a bit annoying, admittedly, yeah. Right. So, create a world. I will go for a small world with a very long history. Because the world that I've been playing with so far, I've done 2 fortresses now in that world. The one I showed you was the second one. It had a medium length history, so it had 250 years or so of generated history. I would like to have a world with a ton of history generated. I want to see what that looks like. So we're going to generate 1,050 years of history. Number of civilizations. I'm happy with that being medium. Number of sites. I'm happy with that medium. Number of beasts. Set that to high. Natural savagery. Let's set that to high. Mineral occurrence will make frequent. And now we'll go. And it will start generating our world. It's generating Kamadi Alino, the Realm of Dawns. That's a cool name for a world. The Realm of Dawns. And you can see things happening on the map there. The map, the world generation is still listed. It's still displayed in the original old school Dwarf Fortress ASCII art, instead of a tile set like I normally use. So it's kind of, you can get a glimpse there of what Dwarf Fortress looks like in vanilla. Is it possible for your world to die before you even start? It can happen, yes. We'll see what happens with this one. As you can see, things are changing on the map as it generates more years of history. We're in the Age of Legends at the moment, year 190, so historical figures loads. 18,000, 13,000 dead, 150,000 events almost, there we go. They make entities able to cross oceans? I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea, I'm afraid. I haven't kept up really that closely with Dwarf Fortress's development. It's one of those games I dip into once every couple of years. I don't really pay attention to a lot of the changes. Whenever I encounter something new that I don't understand, I just go on the Dwarf Fortress wiki and figure it out. So problem I had with the previous world I was using was that it wasn't savage and interesting enough in places, unfortunately. It could be a bit dull. The first fortress I did was actually so uninteresting, I retired it and went to make a new one, basically, because it was a little bit too dull. I never seemed to have any goblin raids. Nothing really happened. So this, I set the savagery and the number of large beasts to high on this one, in the hopes that we'll get something quite interesting indeed. One of your favourite places to settle is jungle or savannah on high savagery? Oh, that sounds fun. Lions, tigers, and bears, etc. Yes. Giant crocs. Lion men. I forgot that was even a thing that existed. I encountered a plump helmet man the other day, and I was like, holy crap, I forgot those were a thing. For my Dwarf Fortress, maybe we're going to see some possible Cataclysm as well. I don't know. Because Cataclysm is a roguelike, and Dwarf Fortress can be played as a roguelike, but it's not really. The Fortress mode is effectively almost a town management game. Your leader was a hyena woman necromancer? That's awesome. We're in the year 615. It's generating 1,050 years of history here, so... I did say this would take a little while. Have I ever thought of doing a Divinity LP or stream? I mean, no, if I'm completely honest. because I didn't really like Divinity Original Sin 1 very much, and Divinity Original Sin 2 I have played a little bit of, but it never quite sucked me in. I played like the first opening chapter, and that was kind of it. Is the bot still dead? Yes. A former adventurer of yours moved into your fortress. She only had one arm and has killed a goblin fortress beforehand. That's awesome. I did have one of the people who migrated to the fortress that I just showed you actually used to live in a previous fortress I made, which was quite fun. I was like, hang on a minute, that name looks familiar. On top of that, I discovered that one of the dwarves in my fortress was related to one of the dwarves that lived in my other fortress. They were like cousins or something. Yeah, I think the rain sound effect seems to have glitched out because it's still playing the rain sound effect. But whatever. It's nice and relaxing and soothing, so I'll let it do it. So it certainly generates faster than your computer can. Yeah. It is actually generating faster than I remember it doing right now, to be fair. I didn't make it an absolutely huge world though. I think I set it to small worlds, so that probably helps. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to generate the world, and then I'm going to go straight to Legends and export everything, and we're going to go to Legends Viewer, and we're going to have a poke around this world and figure out what it's about and have a look at the major civilizations and stuff, and then from that point try and figure out what kind of theme we want to go for. $460k events. Yes! Very long history for the win. Here we go. It is done. The Realm of Dawns has been created. Kamadi Elino, to use its presumably dwarven name. This is what it looks like. The Land of Men, that's called. The White Murk. The Somber Steppe. Fortuitous Murk. The Glacial Prairies. The Inky Mire. The Spikes of Depressing. Wow, this is the Field of Disappearances. This is a this is a grim, dark world we've generated for us. The Hills of Flaying. My God. Speechless Hill. Dune of Obeying. The Hills of Truth. The Green Oceans. Hillocks of Gusalam. In the Intense Forest. The Jade Finger. The Disemboweled Ice. The Round Jungle, the Hill of Trusting, the Tempted Prairie. What's this island over here? The Crested Continent. That's what it's called. What about this one on the top left? This is the Continent of Oak. This one is the Land of Handling. Fields of Brass, the Hill of Rags. This big one up here is the Land of Men. Alright, well. I fancy the look of it. I'm loving the really horrifically grimdark theme. There's a lot of purple on the map, which usually indicates, like, I think savage or haunted areas or something like that. And it all has, like, really grim, horrible names and stuff. Yeah, I'm liking this, except... it's now saving the world. Look at that, folks. We've barely even started. We've already saved the world. Evil areas, yeah, I think so. Yeah, haunted and evil are two separate things, aren't they? Could try and build a fortress in an evil area, see what happens. Right. So, we go start playing. And yeah, Comadiolino, folder region 2. Legends. And Legends mode basically allows you to look at all the historical figures and events and places in the world and read about them. However, it's a bit of a clunky Dwarf Fortressy interface. As you can see, it's not very intuitive or easy to use. So what we do is we export all this to an external program called Legends Viewer, which allows us to view things with a much better user interface and maps and stuff. And so that's what we're going to do. So if I can remember the command, export legends all. And this will take a minute, but it'll be worth it. Legends Viewer has been like the only way you've played this game for so long. Yeah, once you figure out Legends Viewer, that's when the game gets real. That's when it graduates beyond just being a simple fortress builder to being like, oh my godness, I've created a universe! It's got pie charts and shit, yeah. Pie charts and shit. Should be the slogan. I like the additional maps that gives you, and I like the stuff like the family trees, that kind of thing. Pie charts is Victoria too. Ha 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 ha. You wait and see. I remember playing Victoria 1 with the Revolutions expansion, and it had no tutorial. That was fun. Once upon a time, you see, Paradox didn't put tutorials in their games. They just decided, fuck it, we'll let the players figure it out for themselves. And let me tell you, trying to learn to play the original Victoria with no tutorials was an experience. Oh, no. Like, not even joke tutorials, Django. Victoria 1 didn't even have a joke tutorial. There was no tutorial at all. There was just the manual and whatever guides that users were kind enough to write up in their spare time on the forums. That was how you learned the game. A combination of reading guides people had written and trial and error. Let's play CK2, took you about 100 hours. Yeah, at least CK2 has a vague tutorial. I actually couldn't play the original Crusader Kings 1. I have a copy. It's on my shelf somewhere, I think, the original Crusader Kings. And I tried it, and I managed to learn most of the original Victoria with some help from friends and guides online and stuff. The original Crusader Kings stumped me completely. I could not learn how to play it. It took me until Crusader Kings 2 to actually start playing. Where's this music from? It's The Witcher 1, isn't it? I think. Tavern on the End of the World. Might be The Witcher 2. Oh, it's doing things. Still working away. Witcher 1 Chapter 4? Ah. We're in Chapter 3 of The Witcher on YouTube now, folks. Finally! I finally beat Chapter 2! It happened! I could not believe it! I'm actually excited to play the game again now. It's no longer a horrible, horrible quicksand pool of horribly written dialogue that I don't understand. And I mean, it will still be a bit jank, obviously, but I'm in a new chapter, so it's a fresh slate. We can start again. Right, I do believe it is done, so we will exit. We will quit. Let's get chapter 1 in The Witcher 2 will start all over again. I mean, yeah, but I actually managed to complete The Witcher 2 on my first attempt, and I didn't manage to complete The Witcher 1 on my first attempt, so I think I might be okay with The Witcher 1. I mean, The Witcher 2. Although there are certain bits of it that I'm not looking forward to playing again. What does the tweet about limited ads mean? It means that the Witcher videos frequently get demonetized because there's boobs in them. Basically. There's a lot of sex in The Witcher, and that therefore means that the videos get partially demonetized. Because we can't have nudity or sex on YouTube. Advertisers don't like that. Predominantly American advertisers, I might add. If they're European, they probably don't give a shit. Europeans are very forward-thinking like that. Okay, let's just close SoundSense here. Goodbye, SoundSense. Goodbye, rain effects. Okay, so we're back in here, back in the utilities section. Now what we want to do is go to Advanced, process our Legends exports. This will also just take a minute. Very mild. Yeah, very mild, and yet still enough. What command they use to extract the files? Export Legends all. You can do it via the buttons in the game itself, but if you use DF hack to do it, it gives you extra information when you load it up in Legends Viewer. Because DF hack extracts a few extra bits of information from the game. Yeah, it's crazy, the whole sort of like American versus European attitude towards nudity. Because like I've been to France quite a few times, and you notice immediately when you go to France that after the watershed on the telly is passed, it's just boobs as far as the eye can see, from like 9 o'clock onwards. Like you know, even and the watershed there seems to be much earlier. Like here it's after 9 o'clock you can do adult stuff on the telly, but in France it's way sooner, and as soon as it goes past, there's no like vague grace period that eases you into it a bit. It's just like immediately tits just everywhere. The French just give zero fucks. Now then, back to utilities. Legends Viewer. Here we are. Now we go up here. We Need to load the right archive here. Which one? Oh, this is region 1 exports. We want region 2 Legends exports. We go here. Open. Yeah, those damn Puritans. Am I still on Windows 7? Yeah, I'm afraid I am. Don't judge me, okay? I told you I'm a dinosaur. My laptop's Windows 10, but this hunk of junk is still Windows 7. You still play Civ 4 and XP. Good for you. I sometimes wish I had a Windows 98 PC around still. Here we go. The Realm of Dawns. Pie charts, everybody. The aforementioned pie charts. It looks like well over half the population of the entire world consists of goblins, which is always a fascinating start. Oh boy. That's interesting. So we've got dwarves account for a tiny portion of it, kobolds an even smaller portion, and then you've got elves and humans. Eras, we have the Age of Myth, Age of Legends, and Age of Heroes, which we're currently in now. Current civilizations 10, fallen civilizations 6. So, the current civilization, there's only one current dwarven civilization, the Calm Torch. Why does it have 0 dwarves?
Wealth beyond measure, Outlander.
Oh, thanks, Norwegian Decoy. That's really generous of you, dude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Stupid donation alert. Why can't I fix it? Ugh, anyway. Luxuries of drilling. Oh yeah. Nice. On the Wood of Will. Mm-hmm. The Charcoal Confederacy seems fascinating. There's a bug on my screen. Go away. The Confederation of Passion. Mm-hmm. So here is we've got the dwarves, the Calm Torch, 2 elves, the Jade Drinks, and the musical lyrics. Very elfy. 4 goblins, the Slippery Poison, the Jackal of Turmoil, the Hate of Maligning, and the Terror of Light. The biggest one is the Hate of Maligning, it seems. The Slick Realms of humans, and then 2 kobold civilizations, which I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. The Calm Torch. It's a civilization of dwarves. Interesting. It seems to... Civilized populations consist entirely of 1 goblin, 48 outcast dwarves. Oh. Something interesting has happened here. Look at the population. Just 1 goblin. Something interesting has happened here. The Mansion of Savages is a fallen civilization. They are gone. This was ruled by goblins, this place. Look. Current leadership. They're all goblins. And a couple of dwarf necromancers. And is that a dead person? Baroness Consort. Amos Road Jungle's corpse. Yeah, it's a reanimated corpse. Holy crap. Some dark, dark deeds have been happening in this world. Oh my goodness me. Battles against other entities, okay. Battles against other entities, a victory defeat chart. Site history. Events. This must be around about the time they were destroyed, because the events go right down here. In the year 321. This is Stronghold music, yep. Ooh. Kings. Let's see. A zombie was king? This civilization started off on the wrong foot. My god, in the year 1, the dwarf animated corpse, Udib Chambershores, was king. Succeeded by another animated corpse, who was succeeded in turn by a dwarf werebeast. And then it was goblins, and then a few dwarves. Mostly dwarves, and then a goblin again. What madness and disdain happened here? Craziness. Well, if there's an elf who's king of your dwarf civilization, it's probably because the elves conquered it or something. That's a relatively common occurrence. Animated corpse is a little less common, I must admit, and especially werebeasts. Segun Wiltsilvers. The Infinite Sparks. Female dwarf werebeast born in 157 and died in 584, executed, hacked to pieces by the Isakuso's hand. Sarvesh Cave Notch, the Grisly Bloat. During the 10th conquest of Boarded Strap as a result of the Searing Sieges as part of the War of Lashes. Deity Curse Werebeast 2. Interesting. What is this? Curse lineage. Ah, so this is the lineage of the werebeast curse, eh? So, who are we dealing with? This is Sigun Wiltsilver. So, where is Sigun? Sigun the originator of the curse, or was it someone else? Is the question. Dwarf deity Xanos the Sunny. Yeah. Cursed Sigun. And she has a whole spread of mortal progeny that also bear the curse, it would appear. Whoa.
We're watching you, scum.
Xanos the Sunny. So who's this god? A deity that occurs in the myths of the Mansion of Savages. Xanos is most often depicted as a female dwarf deity in the sphere of healing. Shows as a healing god that for some reason cursed Sigun here to become a werebeast. What kind of werebeast, though? I don't know if it'll tell us. Big Flicks, thank you very much for 40 months of subbage. 40 months, bloody hell. That's a long time. Interesting. So this person was queen for a long time as a werebeast. Very long time. Was a skilled pacifier and negotiator, competent comedian, a competent judge of intent, consoler, persuader, conversationalist, intimidator, flatterer, and schemer. Oh, she was a legendary fighter, it seems. A legendary hammerman, legendary dodger, shield user, armor user, discipline, and spearman. So yeah. A serious warrior, this one. Legendary is no fucking joke. That is like the highest level of skill you can get in the game. Whatsoever. It's very rare. It's very rare for a dwarf to get one legendary skill, let alone all these. But considering she lived so long, I suppose it almost doesn't surprise me. Because if you do live that long, naturally your skills are going to increase quite a lot. She had a lot of kills. My goodness. Starting in 279 when she killed the human Team Island Tomb. Killed all of these people. And then the goblin Isokuso's hand. What is Isokuso's hand? Beast attacks. These are beast rampages that she went on in were creature form. That's all. This is why she's killed so many people. So the earliest entry in the event log we have for her is that in midsummer of 169, she fought in the Siege of Axes. So she fought in a war. There are a bunch of different attacks and battles and stuff here. Then she married the dwarf Licot Wirefresh, and then settled in the hillocks of Relic Kingdoms. She became an animal trainer. And then she fought in another battle. And then she became queen. it would appear. Queen of the Mansion of Savages. Settled in Leafy Lances, which was a fortress, probably the capital. Okay. She acquired this relic spear as well, as a symbol of authority within the Mansion of Savages. She fought in a battle. She divorced her previous husband. And then she fought in a whole bunch more battles. Became a member of the Communion of Cherishing, which is a religious group. The Dwarf Zolak Lizard Dungeons. What a name. I am Zolak Lizard Dungeons. Formed a false friendship with Sigun in order to extract information in Leafy Lances. Cursed you, Zolak! Fought in a bunch more battles. I'm waiting for the bit where she was cursed. Yeah. Married the dwarf Sagzel Rooftops. Roofstops, even. She got married again. Fought in even more battles. 215 early winter. The goblin Uzbu Ringul toppled the government of Sigun and assumed control in Leafy Lances during a coup. So there was a goblin coup which ousted her as queen. The support of the dwarf Atia Dune Towers was crucial to the coup. She was then imprisoned by the Mansion of Savages during a coup. She was imprisoned by the new goblin government, it would appear. Then she got divorced again. More false friendships. She did poorly gambling in Leafy Lances at the Walled Pumpkin pub, I suppose. Tavern and inn, yeah. Okay. She became a member of the Gleeful Sect, another religious group. Profaned the Abbey of Loving. My goodness me. How does one profane the Abbey of Loving? And as a result of this, the dwarf deity Xanos the Sunny cursed her to assume the form of a Gila monster so she's a were-Gila monster. That's what she is. That's what type of werebeast she is. Every full moon. A were-Gila monster. That sounds terrifying. So she profaned the temple, and for that the god cursed her. Goodness me. So then she began wandering the world of jungles in order to flee. She became an enemy of the blockade of lessons during the rampage of Sigurd in Copperfloor. So she obviously went to somewhere called Copperfloors in beast form and attacked. And apparently she possibly killed a few people while she was at it too. If you go to the rampage here. It looks like she didn't kill anyone, but she attacked a few people. Attacked the dwarf Dastot spread axes. Fought with the dwarf Dastot spread axes. While defeated, the latter escaped unscathed. So yeah, she fought with him but didn't kill him. She became an enemy of the Mansion of Savages. Oh man, what a tale! Once she was queen, but then she was ousted by a coup, and then profaned the temple for some reason we can only imagine, before the god cursed her to become a were-monster, and then she fled to the jungles, where she, in were-beast form, she terrorized the villages, and oh my goodness, what a life story, eh? She devoured a female dog. Goodness me. And a peafowl. Goodness me. Attacked some goblins. Made herself an enemy of the human kingdom as well while she was at it. And then it goes on and on. I imagine from this point onwards it's mostly just her doing her beast attacks and stuff. Devoured a male llama. Om nom nom. Yeah, that became an enemy of the elves, or actually there might be goblins. Yeah, it's goblins. Okay. Yeah, and it just goes on like this. We're down to page 11. This continues. She fought in a siege, it would appear. Continued devouring animals and stuff, and then she fought in the Searing Sieges and an assault on Bordenstrap. And then in 584, many centuries later, she was finally, on the 8th of Felsight, attacked to pieces by the Isokuso's hand. Sarvesh Cave Notch, the Grisly Bloat, in Bordenstrap during the 10th conquest of Bordenstrap, and so on and so on and so forth. So she finally met her end, hacked to pieces by a goblin. I'm assuming a goblin. I don't know what an Isokuzo's hand is. To DF Wiki. Oh, DF Wiki's not. That might be a necromancer experiment. Oh, okay. So whoever this is, he killed a lot of monsters and stuff. Look. Lots of were creatures. The dwarf turned dark monster Rakus channeled glove, executed, hacked to pieces. And he killed Sigurd. A Terrawax nut. Okay. So who's this person? He hunted the werewolf to descend from it. Yeah, it looks like that might be the case, yeah. Looks like he hunted her and her offspring. Fascinating. Are all the events randomly generated? Yes, indeed. No two Dwarf Fortress worlds are alike. And the Aragias were packed and all killed together. Oh yeah, good point. They were all killed in the same year, more or less. That's interesting. Same siege too, yeah. Interesting. 10th Congress of Border Strap. That's right to the Searing Siege. The Searing Sieges. Oh my goodness me, look at this. So, the heroic roofs are the attackers. And they consisted of 257 Isakosu's hands. Goblins, dwarves, humans, wolves of night, creatures of Nish, follies of Sumumua, night's disasters, nightmares, eyes of die sculpture, and then goblins and dwarves and stuff. A troll? A troll turned night's disaster. What? And some corpses. Because naturally. And some non-combatants as well. Giant alligator. An alligator man. It was all against one dude. The human turned Eye of Rodi. Mappo Savage Sandaled. Led the defense and died. Who was this guy? Died in 584, struck by the goblin turned into something hand. Animated corpse. Back stinky flies. Didn't seem like anyone particularly special. Goodness gracious me. Let's toggle civs. Here we go. So this is the world map. And it seems like... Well, it seems very interesting. On account of the fact that the dwarven civilizations in this world seem to have had a rough time of it. Quite a rough time of it indeed, in fact. The dwarves seem to be down here. This is where I'm seeing red, and red is dwarves, so... Socketed room is dwarves. The Boat of Order. Banded Irons. That's a kobold civ down there. Summary. So there's... so the Mansion of Savages was what we were reading about back there. With Sigurd and the Werebeast that was cursed after being deposed as queen. That was a marvellous tale. That's a fallen civilization. There is currently... Now this is really confusing and strange. Because there's one current dwarven civilization, but it consists of no dwarves. That's it on the map. All that stuff, all those red settlements we saw on the map, that's this. But it consists of one goblin. And 48 dwarf outcasts and 18 goblin outcasts. 750 horses, 27 dogs, 12 blue peafowls, 9 geese, 2 guinea fowls, 2 turkeys, 2 ravens, 2 donkeys, 2 cats, 2 ducks, 2 pigs, and presumably somewhere a partridge in a pear tree. They have their deities. They have their kings, which were all dwarves in this case. 17th king in the year 906 was the dwarf Rith Trench Cloister. Let's have a look. Oh, the current leadership as well. So there is leadership here. We have a diplomat, outpost liaison, a general, a queen, baroness. So there is still a queen. This is very strange. I don't know what's going on here. Game is listed below the stream. It's Dwarf Fortress. Next question. So it's ruled by a queen that presumably is one of the outcasts? I don't know, this is very odd. Let's have a look at this queen. Rith Trench Cloister. Born in 892. She's female. Goal is create a great work of art. Her lineage is as follows. Queen of the Calm Torch. She has a daughter, Einod Freysbanner. And then she's the daughter of King Dukim Denthall. Son of Asmal Staffland. Son of Leckart Runebristles. Daughter of Onel Earthenhall. She had a lover, Erdem Gold Column. Where you got that name? Queen, 906 to present. Wow, she divorced this guy. She married this guy, divorced him, married him, divorced him, married him, divorced him, married him, married a different person, then divorced him, then married someone else, and then divorced them. Very interesting. There's not much else to say about her, though. What about her dad? Dukim Denthall. Born in 750 and died in 906 of old age. He was king of the Calm Torch. Tossed rain gloves with his mother. Very uneventful life for him too, really. Who was the first king? Zon West Papers was the first king in the year 1. Queen, actually. Born in -73 and died in 3, struck by the mountain titan Pack Crests, the whiskered rain of mosses, during a duel as part of the rampage of Pack Crests in Tortin. Wow. Whiskered rain of mosses. A mountain titan, born in -273 to 231, making up numbers. Died in 3, struck by a dwarf during the rampage of... So during that very battle, he came in, he killed the queen, but someone else killed him. Maybe they killed each other. A lot of kills. In a time before time, Packcrest began wandering the Jade Finger, which is that big purpley mountain range we saw on the map. Struck down by a dwarf. We unfortunately, there's no further information available on who it was that killed him. Here we go. Yeah, look. Attacked the work of competence at Tortin during the rampage of Pack Crests. Kogan Grizzle Archers was struck down. Then Ral Channel Test was struck down. Degel Tomes Glories was struck down. Zon West Papers then attacked Pack Crest during a duel. And and then the Queen. So the Queen challenged this Mountain Titan to a duel, and then was, promptly killed. And then the Mountain Titan continued his rampage until eventually an unnamed hero killed it. Fascinating. Mountain Titans still the strongest non-randomly generated creature in the game. Sounds like they ought to be. Okay. One of the barons is a necromancer. I'm trying to figure this out in my brain. I'm trying to figure out why the civilized population is listed as one goblin. And the rest is just 48 outcasts. And 18 goblin outcasts. I'm trying to figure out why this is. This is really strange. There's the carbon torch there. Looks like they've been attacked 516 times by the Terror of Light, which is the Goblin civilization, who have also been rampaging against the humans. I still don't quite understand how this chart works, to be honest with you. I think if it's an arrow going that way, it means they've attacked them. They were the defenders, possibly. See, what confuses me is that how is this one goblin the civilized population, but also how is there still a there's leadership? I get that, I guess, is made up of the outcasts. I don't understand this. I'm trying to decipher this weird information in front of me, and I'm not getting it. Because there's a bunch of dwarves here in the leadership, including a dwarf queen, but none of them count as the civilized population for some reason. They're all outcasts. There's a lot of horses, isn't it? Yeah. Maybe they eat them though. Yeah. Maybe they use them like we use cows. I ended up with a fortress once that had 50 dogs in it, because there was a bit of a puppy explosion because I didn't geld enough of the male dogs. And it led to a bit of an outbreak of dogs everywhere. And I couldn't bring myself to kill all the puppies. So I just kind of let it happen. Puppy outbreak, yep. Luckily, because it wasn't a cat explosion, it was manageable. Because I was able to just ensure that none of the dwarves adopted the puppies as pets, so it didn't matter, effectively. But the traditional cat explosion of yore is different, because cats in Dwarf Fortress, they cannot be trained, and they cannot be assigned to an owner. An owner gets assigned to the cat. Cats choose who they want to become their pets in Dwarf Fortress. Yeah, cats effectively... Like, dwarves adopt dogs, cats adopt dwarves, is how it works. And a cat explosion is then a problem because you got these hundreds of cats everywhere, and they adopt all the dwarves and become the dwarves' pets, and then the cats start dying, and then everyone starts getting depressed because all their pets are dying, and it becomes this depression, angry tantrum spiral of death, and the entire fort eventually goes completely insane, and they start murdering each other, and then that's it. Death by cat explosion. At least there's no rat problem. Yes, admittedly, if you have that many cats, it's very unlikely you have to deal with pests in the fortress. Yes, cats getting alcohol poisoning due to wandering around in taverns. Yep. Because they stood in puddles of ale on the floor and then they licked their paws and therefore got drunk. Let's try and figure out what the hell happened here. So nothing really happened for ages. Battle against other entities. I guess they fought the Galleys of Chucking, which was a dwarf group, and they lost 12 times. Then a bunch of little skirmishes. And then we get to here. And the Terror of Light, a goblin civilization attacks. Everything changed when the goblin civilization attacked.
We're watching you, scum.
And Avatar: Last Sparebender's on Netflix now. Just totally unrelated note. It's on Netflix now, and I think I might actually finally fucking watch it as a result. Because I've constantly see it fucking referenced everywhere, and I want to actually watch the proper thing finally. I'm not much of an anime person, so I've not bothered with it for ages. But anyway, so then these guys, the Terror of Light attacked, and then the dwarves had 24 victories and 591 losses. Good God. And then the humans attacked. They lost 98 times and didn't win once. It's a bit of a failure of a civilization, if you ask me. Bloody hell. Tortin looks like it was the capital. So let's have a look at Tortin. So Tortin is here. It's a fortress. Maybe if we examine Tortin, we might get a better picture of what the heck is going on here. Oh dear. I think Tortin is an ex-fortress. Because its population consists entirely of one forgotten beast. Oh dear. The old capital has been lost. That's an interesting narrative, though. We could reclaim the ancient capital from a forgotten beast. It'd be awfully similar to the one I just did, though. What's the beastie's description? I can't. There isn't one. I don't seem to be able to select it. The information is unavailable. Yeah. It was founded in the year 1 and was destroyed in the year 15 by the Forgotten Beast. Here we go. Dripped Umbral the Frightful. Associated spheres with caverns and misery. It killed a bunch of people. So this capital did not last long. It did not last long. It lasted for 15 years before it was destroyed by a Forgotten Beast. It was born in minus 210, so this beast is like 1,215 years old, I think. No, 1,260 years old, I think. It's 1,200 years, give or take, old. That's a very old beast. You say it's a Balrog, but if we were to encounter this thing, it would probably turn out to be like a giant wombat or something, because that's just how Dwarf Fortress rolls. you go in expecting a Balrog, and what you get is a giant rabbit. With big pointy teeth. I'm sure were-wombats are probably a thing. I mean, were-Gila monsters are a thing, it seems, so... So that's Taunton, the original capital. So then they founded the Bridge of Matching, and then it was taken over by the Galleys of Chucking. Ecru Guilds, the Sacks of Rhythm. These are all Helix. And then we get to Trade Learned, which was then destroyed by the goblins. Great. So yeah, the year 5, the Earth of Tunnels founded Trade Learned, and it was destroyed by the Terror of Light. Hooray! Let's have a look at Trade Learned. So Trade Learned is... Give it a moment. Is up here. So it's still going. It is still going. Although, I say that, but it seems to be populated entirely by 49 cats, 25 horses, 10 geese, 10 blue peafowls, and 1 etin. Oh my god, there's just this one etin who has all of these animals. Awesome! That's really cool! 49 cats. Nope. Yeah. Etin Zookeeper. Amazing. Ooh, a lot of artifacts. Lots of artifacts. Wow. Loads of artifacts. I've never seen that many artifacts in a single fortress before. Holy crap. Good god. It has structures too. It has a market, a guild hall, a library, a tavern and inn, the Honey of Swords. More guild halls, lots of guild halls. It's an etin and a straw hat, yes. Warfare. In 138, the monstrous Caesar Siege. It's part of the Scalded Conflict by the Terror of Light. There were 487 deaths. And there was the Siege of Ringing the next year. And the destruction of Trade Learned as a result of the Siege of Ringing. 139 early spring, the destruction of Trade Learned occurred as a result of the Siege of Ringing, the Scalded Conflict waged by the Terror of Light on the Calm Torch. Lots of people were imprisoned. Refugees. Okay. And then an etin moved in at some point, I guess. Lots of beast attacks. Many, many deaths. Get to 53. When does the etin move in? This is what I want to know. It peaks there. This is when the destruction of Tradeland happened. And then in 139, mid-spring, that was early spring, this happened. And then a little bit later in spring, a few months later, first of Felsight, the Etin, Gostrim knighted action, the certain papers, settled in Tradeland, and has lived there ever since. In 176, the dwarf Bemble Helmorangles confronted the Etin and was struck down by the Etin. So some stupid dwarf adventurer came to slay the Etin and was killed for his trouble. So look at Gostrim. Okay, so Gostrim was there. Had a family, I guess. Had a mother and father. Even Etins have mothers and fathers, I guess. Worshipped a deity. Worshipped Pimra, a human deity. Female goddess associated with minerals and beauty. Was a member of the Mellow sect. Interesting. And became a noble, no less, in a religious group of humans. Fascinating. Killed a couple of killed a dwarf and a kobold. Unib Glazedsley. Had a few rampages. Only killed someone in one of them, though. Settled in Tradeland. There's no information prior to that. You a member of the Mellow sect? Yeah, look at that. Became the sacred intricacy of the Mellow sect. Then killed Bemble. And then she killed a kobold in one of her rampages. That was who she killed. It was a kobold. Fascinating. So, that's the Etin that lives in Tradeland, the other ancient fortress that's now gone. So there's Tradeland, then Rumour Sabers of Hillock, and then there's Banner Showers, just taken over by the Terror of Light. What's the oldest town they have that wasn't taken over? Or destroyed? Torglabed, taken over by the Galleys of Chucking. Okay, so that's still a dwarf civilization. So Torglabed looks like it might be the oldest and possibly the only one. Torglabed, let's have a look at it. It's a fortress. It's roughly there. Population consists of 23 animated goblins. Okay. I guess it is a fallen fortress then. Market, tavern, guild halls, a temple. Has catacombs and some tombs. And that's where Dimpled Clasps is. Look. That is the legendary spear that the Were Queen of the other fallen dwarf civilization used to own. Dimple Clasps. That's a very old spear. This world is awful, I know it is, isn't it? So clearly, the dwarves in the Realm of Dawns have fallen on extremely hard times. I don't even know if it's possible for us to. Are we going to steal the spear? I mean, it'd be an interesting idea, wouldn't it? I don't know if it's possible for us to even launch an expedition in this world. But if we can, I would like to try. We could make a fort, and yeah, we could send an expedition of dwarves to go and recover the spear. Yeah, it's true.
Scum.
If we can't try and reclaim this fortress itself, what is this place? Torglab, as it was, I think it was. Torglabed, yeah. Or Masosereth, to use its actual dwarven name. Masosereth. The fortress. I don't know if it's an X-fortress, though. Technically. But right now, all it's populated by is a bunch of zombie goblins. It's happened to you before. You got the queen in your first migrant wave. Ha! Really? Nice. Should be able to. It's just that you will immediately become the capital. Oh my god. We'll become the last bastion of the dwarves. Oh, you see, this is why you go into Legends mode. This is why you go through all the trouble of exporting all the data and then opening Legends Viewer and actually looking at this stuff. Because otherwise, we would have just embarked on an expedition and we wouldn't have paid any attention to who anyone was or where we were. And we would just be building a fortress and be like, whatever. Yeah, it'd still be fun, you know, because it's still Dwarf Fortress at the end of the day. But holy crap, we now have context, guys. We have a narrative. We are the last dwarves out to build a new fortress from which our civilization might regrow from the ashes. Oh boy. This is interesting. So this is yeah, Masosereth Torglabed. I'm going to leave this open in the background so we can come back and look at it whenever we need to. But if we can't try and reclaim Masosereth, then we'll build a new fortress somewhere. And which may still be a preferable thing to do. I don't know. We'll build a new fortress somewhere, and then we'll send dwarves on an expedition to try and recover the spear. Because that spear, that'd be an old spear. I mean, there's a bunch of other artifacts too. You know, legendary bronze. There's all this stuff. But that spear jumps out at me, mostly because I believe it's the one that... oh, maybe not, actually. I think there were just two legendary artifact spears that happen to have the same damn name. So never mind. But we'll just pretend that it's... Maybe the dwarves think it's the same, that's why it's got the same name, but if you look in the legends, you will discover the truth that it's actually not the same spear. It's like a fake Holy Grail. One is a Chinese fake, yeah. This is like a fake Ark of the Covenant or fake Holy Grail. But it will nevertheless be our goal, I think, to recover it. Because who knows what happened to the other one. Yes, the Spear of the Were Queen. Sigun the Were Queen. The Were-Gila monster. Were-Gila monster. Fucking Dwarf Fortress, man. Only in this game. So, let's go back to the Calm Torch, have a little look here. So, our initial expedition might consist of just these dwarves. We might end up with like a whole bunch of nobles, including the queen. This is going to be interesting. Okay, folks, let's do this. Let's do this. Play Dwarf Fortress. I need to go into this and tell it to stop playing music. Possibly in a bit. Right. Oops. Right. Zoom this in, make it big so we can see it properly. Start playing Dwarf Fortress.
We're watching you, scum.
So it'll process a few extra weeks before you do this in the old timeline. And here we go. This is where we get to choose to embark. So that's a map of the whole big world. This is a map of the sort of local zoomed in region, and that's the map of the local really, really zoomed in region where we can sort of determine where we're going to what the local area is going to look like when we begin our fortress, like on the actual map in game. So, oh, I'm going to need to go in here and music. Stop. There we go. Start in the purple. This is all haunted. This is all haunted. That's why it's purple. Surroundings haunted. Then we have something here. What's this? Zulban Messier. Whatever that is.
We're watching you.
We could look that up. We could go to Legends and look that up. What the hell is Zulban Messier? Where is it? Legends viewer. There.
We're watching you.
What is this? Burov! Thank you for many, many gift subs, by the way. That's very generous of you.
We're watching you. Scum.
Series and entities, historical figures, infrastructure. Okay, what's it called? Zulban Messier. Just out of curiosity.
Watching you. Scum.
Banish hours. Oh, this is one of those early fortresses that was abandoned. Or something was taken over. It's populated by goblins now. Interesting.
We're watching you.
So that's what that is. Right. Goodness me. Right, so if we go to Reclaim, we have a few options here. We have... These are the only two on our sort of continent. There's this up here, Govers Kivish, up here in the northern continent, which must belong to some really, really ancient fallen civilization that I don't know about. There's Nishtarel and Ugutakril. Now, the problem with when you do this reclaim thing is it doesn't give you a chance to look at like what natural resources are in the region. Because I found this out the hard way when I did, when I reclaimed that other fortress that I showed you guys earlier. Because I built the fortress and I was in the process of doing stuff, and I discovered that I just couldn't find any decent metals below ground to mine. Which meant that I couldn't make any armor and weapons, so I had to trade for them, which was annoying. So, I'm potentially not interested in doing this, and perhaps instead would prefer to make a fortress from scratch, so that we know what we're dealing with. Let's look them up anyway. Interesting. Let's see. Ah, right. Ugat. Ah, so that's Tortin. I think this is the original... Yeah, with the Forgotten Beast. This is the original ancient capital, Tortin. The one that was overrun by the Forgotten Beast 15 years after it was built. And the thing about, like, normally it's not so bad if you have to trade for stuff. Like, it's a perfectly reasonable way of playing the game, I guess. But the thing is, we find ourselves in a very odd situation here because we have a practically near-dead civilization, so I don't know who's going to come and trade with us. You know what I mean? Like, even migrants might be a problem. I don't know where a lot of our migrants are going to come from because it seems like there's about 50 dwarves left in the entire fucking world. Maybe just settle next to the fortress like how modern Greek cities are usually built next to rather than on top of ancient cities. Humans might be able to trade with me. Well, there's not a lot of them around either, unfortunately. Mostly goblins, really. I'm going to assume Nishtarel is the other one. Tradeland. Yeah, Nishtrella's Tradeland. This yeah, so this is the one that's populated by an Etin. This is the Etin Zoo, Tradeland. With its huge stash of artifacts. My goodness. Crumbs. Well. Unfortunately, we don't seem to be able to reclaim the one that we wanted, which is the one with the zombie goblins in it. So, what we need to do is find, and we want certain things here. We want Fluxstone. We want no aquifers, please. We want a river would be nice. Shallow metal, deep metal. And the rest I don't really care about, particularly. So do search. And it will search through the world to find areas that match our criteria, basically. Now, hopefully we should have an easier time with this, because when we were doing world generation, I set it so that there was a lot of natural resources. And now I believe now on this map, all the green X's are at suitable areas, I think. Possibly. So this is our kind of neck of the woods around here. So we'll have a look. What have we got here? So this area, surroundings are sinister, although next door is serene. Sinister would be more fun. Serene would be easier. There's also a mountain. When in doubt in Dwarf Fortress, it is best not to play it safe. You will have far more fun that way. Shallow metals, deep metals, fluxstone layer. There's other nice things that would be good to have though, like clay and deep soil. That kind of. I want clay and soil. That would be good. You can kind of make mud or soil through a very convoluted process involving water and pits. I'd rather not have to do it, though, because it would be a bit of a pain in the bum. Get into the very sinister haunted areas down here. There you go, temperature cold. This seems to be next to some sort of goblin fortress, I would reckon, with a name like Stozarom. The vegetation moderate. Woodland, sinister, cold. Has clay, some soil, shallow metal, deep metals, and a fluxstone layer. Interesting. So if we go to the local map here. I don't seem to be able to move it around, probably because we're using the search results. Can I change the size of it, though? Because it was a really weird shape. Don't want it to be too big, because this game has issues with slowdown if you make it too big. You seem to be right next door to something down here. sites. Toggle alt map. Let's see. Oh, alternate map. Region maps. Get the ASCII map up. Here we go. So we can figure out where we are. So we're on one of those brown N symbols there. Where has it gone? This is my mouse being a jerk. Come back here. See what I mean? Come back here. So we're like there-ish, I think. God, damn it. Come here. I'm trying to hold down the mouse button and it just lets go. I need to replace it. I need to replace it. This has lasted me a long time, this old Corsair, whatever it was. Khazar or something? I don't remember what it was. It began with a K. I remember that much. I think it was a Qatar. That was it. Corsair Qatar mouse. It's been a very good one. It's lasted me many, many years, but I think it's finally dying. Right. There's a couple of layers there. It's poison construct, dark pits. There's a bunch of stuff here. Banner Showers Fortress. Is the world map endless? Nope, nope, nope. It has very definite borders. That's the whole world that you're seeing there. This screen here is the entire world map. This is zoomed in. This is zoomed in even further to the local area. So what you see there is what you get. That's the world. Temperature temperate. Mountain could be fun, but the lack of soil is a problem. We're going to have plenty to deal with if we're in a sinister location, so I'd rather not. One of my concerns be, got to make some mud so I can have farms. That would be really dull and stupid and annoying. So let's not do that. Temperate shrubland. Stozarom. Seem to be next door to something called Stozarom. What is Stozarom? Poison construct, dark pits. It's a dark pits. That's all there is to. Whoa! Steady on there. We're still loading in. It is a dark pits. It is populated by 93 goblins. 23 beak dogs, 23 trolls. Oh god. It's full of artifacts, probably nicked from elsewhere. I don't know if we want to set up shop right next to a dwarven, a goblin, like, and troll lair thing. That sounds like a horrible idea. If I'm honest. It sounds like a really terrible idea. What about up here? Surroundings mirthful. Goes very quickly from sinister to mirthful, doesn't it? What about this? Ah, there's no any fluxstone. Here we go, look at this. So right here. Shrubland, it's cold, woodland, moderate vegetation, sinister surroundings, which should be fun. It has a brook. It has a little soil, it has shallow metal, it has deep metals, and it has a fluxstone layer. So, It's still close by to some stuff. We go back to the world map. It's next door to something here. I think it's this, whatever this is. Sites. It's next door to Asok or Hillocks, I think. Which contain a bunch of lairs and stuff. Which is populated by kobolds, I would guess. Looks like. Hillocks. Lots of lairs everywhere, but with a world that generated this old, that's probably to be expected. And with surroundings this sinister. The Speechless Hill. Yeah, it's a cool name for a place, isn't it? Right. Although I want to go up here and edit the size of this bit we've got selected here slightly. Would a 3x3 be alright? I wonder. Or would that be too much? Maybe a 2x3. Yeah, we'll give that a go. Don't want to make it too big, as I said, because otherwise you can get slowdown issues. Right. Oh boy, I think we're good. That's what we're going to go for. So, embark. And prepare for the journey carefully. And here we go. So, this is what I want to see. Do we recognize any of these names? If we go here to the... Stop it, mouse. Stop it. Right. Leaders. Rith Trench. Rith? I think the Queen might be here. Leadership. What do we see here? We got Adoran, Dobar, Odom, Urvad, Tekun, Aban. There's a Dobar. I think, you know, dwarf names get repeated quite a lot, so that doesn't really prove anything. And there's another Rith here, look, a Baron Consort. Wash letters. It's annoying that we can't see what the dwarvish name is in here. Because then I'd be able to figure out who's who. I told you, Aurelius, I did say at the start of the stream, I don't know how much we'll actually get done in the stream because a lot of it will be looking through legends. So... Yeah, peasant doesn't signify whether or not they're nobility, though. Peasant is just profession. If you're a peasant, it means that you don't have any particular skills. And the reason for that is because we're going to assign skills to them. And you'll see as we assign skills to them, their profession will change. Yeah. It's unclear at this point. We'll find out if we export the Legends data later and we can have a look at who these people are. But for now... Right, Rith, our first one. See to customize? Customize nickname, right. First of our dwarves shall be named. Alright, who's the sub that's in chat? Cat Trader. Congrats. You are now a dwarf. Customize nickname. Sarah, you're next. HXC. Boosh. Number 3, Pudorov. Customize name. Valk will be next. Valk BG. Next up is Barman. Barman 89. Nope, that's 98. 89.
We're watching you, scum.
Django has subscribed. Congrats, Django. There we go. That made that one easy. Right. And who else? Comrade Alexandra. There we go. Right. Customize name. I spelled that wrong. Well done, me. We can edit these later if necessary. It's no big deal. Okay, so starting with Cat. We are going to need miners, so congrats, you are a competent miner. We will need more than one though, so Sarah, you're also going to be a competent miner. Pudorov, you are going to be our carpenter slash... what am I looking for here? Woodcrafter. Slash... Now, bearing in mind how savage this world is, I think quite a few of these guys need to be, you know, fighters of some description on top of everything else. That'll do for now on that. Valk, you will be a mason, and maybe a bit of a stonecrafter to boot. Barman, you are going to be a dedicated warrior dwarf of some description. We'll make you an axe dwarf, because axe dwarves are useful, because if you make them a competent something, usually means they start with the equipment required for that. So you make a competent miner, they will start with a pickaxe, as I believe how it works. But so if we make you a competent axe dwarf, you'll start with an axe, and that's useful because axes can also be used to chop down trees. So they have a double usage, basically. So Barman and Django are both going to be axe dwarves. Might even make you a skilled axe dwarf. Shield user, armor user, fighter. And that's about all I'm allowed to assign to you points-wise. Django will also be an axe dwarf. Competent fighter. Adequate shield user. Adequate armor user. Comrade Alexandra. You are going to be a farmer. Congratulations. You're going to be a farmer. Who are... So you're going to be a grower. Not a shower. Novice herbalist. You'll also be a brewer and a cook. You're going to be doing all the booze and food related stuff. Booze is important in Dwarf Fortress because dwarves in Dwarf Fortress, they require alcohol to live. Food and water are good, but actually optional. They require booze to live, dwarves in this game. So a brewer is a very important job. Okay, right. Anything else I want to do with you for now, aside from maybe make you an axe dwarf? Adequate axeman, I suppose. Hopefully we can make some axes, etc. So if we make you all axemen, that will make life a bit easier for me trying to organize everything. So Valk, you've got some spare points. We made you a mason and stonecrafter, didn't we? Yes, we did. Okay. So the thing is, we're probably going to want someone who can smith. So, Cat Trader, you're also going to be our weaponsmith, I think, among other things. We'll make you a metal crafter. Metalsmith. Armorsmith? Is weaponsmith a thing here? It is actually, right, so metal crafter actually doesn't matter so much because that's just like making figurines and statues and mugs and things. You know, we really should have made Cat the brewer because you do make booze, don't you? You Cat IRL, so that would have actually been more appropriate, but it is done now. To be fair, you can make any dwarf do any job in this game, they're just not as good at it. But they will get better as they practice over time, which is why you've got all these amazing number of skills here and professions, but we don't actually need to put points in many of them because we can get any dwarf to do any job if we need to. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Not a miner, you are going to be a brewer. Novice brewer, there we go. Just make a bit better than that. Adequate brewer. Armorsmith, weaponsmith. Weapons might be more important than armor, so we'll go with that. And an adequate brewer as well, which means that Comrade Alexandra doesn't have to be a brewer. You'll still be the cook and herbalist and grower, but we can take that brewer bit off you and we can give you... make you a competent axeman. Right. Sarah, you're still a miner, which means someone else needs to become a miner. Let's see. Valk. What are you doing? You're the mason and stonecrafter. Okay, well that would probably work, actually. So I'll make you a competent miner. Pudorov. Carpenter, woodcrafter. And not a lot else. Should be lumberjack in here somewhere. What do you think? I could make you a liar. Keyboardist, singer, musician. All of these are not particularly important right now. We could potentially do with a crossbowman. A competent crossbowman. Maybe an ambusher as well, and you should become a hunter. You'll be a ranger. Where is ambusher? Ambusher. Novice ambusher. Alright, so you'll probably be hunting. And then Sarah, you're a miner. Do we still only have one miner? Valk's a miner. Sarah's a miner. Right, so let's give you some additional skills here. Axeman again, I think. Maybe I'll make these novice and add fighter there. Novice, adequate fighter, there we go. Right, I think that will do for our dwarves. So now we want to go to items, so this is the stuff we're going to take with us. Biter, oh yes, yes. You can become a skilled biter of foes. There's many ways to kill someone in Dwarf Fortress. Woodcutter. Oh, yes. To be fair, though, I don't think woodcutter is a skill. I think we'll probably manage without anyone having the woodcutter skill. I would hope, anyway. I think we might be okay. So anyway, we got 2 copper picks, 2 copper battle axes, iron anvil. Now I don't know or think this. I don't think this includes stuff the dwarves have on them. So I think all of the ones that have made competent axemen or miners will actually bring their own axes and picks and stuff. So I think we might be okay. An anvil, yep. Beer, wine, plum helmet spawn. Okay, wheat seeds, pigtail seeds, sweet pod seeds, rock nuts, dimple cup spawn, prepared hippo kidney, delectable, clown loach, plump helmet, pigtail thread, cloth bags, ropes, leather quivers, highwood buckets, splints, crutches, wheelbarrow, step ladder. Never figured out what a step ladder's used for in this game. Never, not even once. We are going to want to take some animals with us. We will take some dogs. Regular dogs. Oh, I've run out of points. That's a problem. Right, well, let's get rid of the step ladder. I never did figure out what it's used for anyway. So, bye-bye step ladder. We can certainly live without wheelbarrows as well, and buckets. We don't need them.
You, scum.
Charlie Green Grappler, thank you for the subbage. 36 months of it, in fact. Appreciate it, man. Chat, thanks. You would think dwarves would need step ladders on a regular basis. You would, wouldn't you, really? This is true. We probably don't need the pigtail seeds, honestly. And we probably don't need the rock nuts. Let's see what else. Beer and wine's fine. Alright, that's freed up quite a bit of points. So we want dogs. Do you like dags? We'll take some dags. Because we're going to train them to be war dogs / hunting dogs, potentially. In fact, what we'll do is we'll take 2 male dogs and 2 female dogs. So I'll give us 4 dogs. They will make more dogs as they procreate, which we can make into war dogs and hunting dogs. We will bring a cat. We will bring 1 cat, a male cat, for hunting rodents and things like that in the fortress. Do we want anything else, like maybe things we can shear or for fabric or milk and make cheese with? There's a lot of things you can milk in this, actually. Goats. That's an option. They're quite cheap as well, so. Turkeys is an option as well, because you can get turkeys that lay eggs. And the thing about turkeys versus geese or ducks or chickens is that you get leather from killing turkeys too, so turkeys is a good option. We might want to take some turkeys with us. But goats are also an option, because we can make cheese with them. Take a billy goat and a nanny goat. That's about all we can afford points-wise. Ducks. KVs are guinea pigs, by the way, in case you're wondering. That's what a KV is. They're obviously not called guinea pigs in this, though, because guinea doesn't exist in Dwarf Fortress, so they're called KVs instead. Reindeer! You could make a Santa's workshop Dwarf Fortress, couldn't you? That would totally be a thing you could do. Geese. Where are the turkeys at? Peacocks, wow. Turkey gobblers, right. Turkey gobbler. 2 turkey hens, that's about all we can afford, right. Camels! Look at that, camels. They're very expensive. And rabbits, that's a thing too. Okay. I think, yeah, there's the holiday stream sorted, yeah. Christmas special. Dwarf Fortress Christmas special. Santa and his reindeer. What's a peacock useful for? Good question. I don't have an answer for you. I think this will do. We can name the fort Door Pulley. Tin Portal. Hit random a few times. You can do it manually by editing the various compounds, adjectives, etc., etc. Or we can just hit R to randomly generate a few times until we find something we like. Tomb Stops. Post Riddles. Lashed Orbed. Gold Mind. So we find something we like. Vessel Right. Iralsalor. Has a certain ring to it. Iralsalor. The last bastion of the dwarves. Yeah, I dig it. Done. And we can name our group. The Truthful Gloves. I don't know about that. The Craft of Creatures. Don't know about that. The Bald Shield. Strong Ink. The Tomb of Merc. The Uncommon Urn. The Healing Towers. I thought it said Healing Trousers there for a second, which would be a perfectly legit Dwarf Fortress name. Pillars of Dashing. The Sorcerer's Room. Do you know what? Since the channel name is Sorcerer Dave, I'm going to take that. The Sorcerer's Room. Right. I think we're ready to go. I always get nervous when I'm ready to embark for a new fortress in this game because I always have this horrible feeling I've forgotten something vitally important, but I think we're okay. I haven't really added any new items to the list. We've only added animals. What would be worth bringing with us? It's immaterial, really. I don't think we can afford it points-wise, so... I spent a lot of points on giving the dwarves lots of skills, so... Because I have a horrible feeling that we might have to fight a lot in this one, so it was worth giving a lot of the dwarves combat skills. I think, probably. I just need to shut the curtains. Hold on, folks. And after that, I need to go to the loo, so... Bio break incoming. There we go. Curtains have been shut. Right. I will be back. Enjoy the intermission screen. I will return momentarily. And then when I do, we shall embark for the journey to Iralsalor. Or whatever its English name was, I've forgotten already.